Oh, Mike. All right. This should be a fun live stream to say the least, right? I've dedicated myself to wearing the colors of the winning team on prime time following the primetime game, even if my team is on the losing end of it. So here I am. I'm not happy about it, but I'm here. Um, yeah, a lot of things that can be said about what we just witnessed tonight. A lot of things that wouldn't be nice. A lot of things that are, you know, probably not fitting for the internet. I Are you serious? I am not. I have dedicated myself to going live after the primetime games and wearing the colors of the winning team. I am being an objective football watcher. That is my goal of this content. So I have to stay dedicated to it. Josh should give this game up for us. That's the bottom line. Josh Allen not single handedly, that is a strong word that I will not use. Josh lost us that game, though. He quite literally could have went out there and went 3 and out almost every drive, and at least wasted like two to 2.5 minutes per drive doing so, and we probably still would have won. But instead, here we are. Josh Allen is throwing 3 interceptions to Jordan Whitehead, fumbling the ball in the biggest moment of the game, and giving the Jets a free 3 points, which then, of course, leads to the overtime. Well, which then, of course, leads to us driving down the field in the overtime. A few things I want to talk about when it comes to this game. I first want to talk about the Jets' perspective here, because I think there's a lot to be, if you're a Jets fan, if you're coming from a Jets perspective, I think there's, of course, a lot to be salvaged from this. Your season's probably shot. Let's be honest. You're not going to get a quarterback on the opposite side of the ball to turn the ball over 4 times to give you a chance to win a game like this every week. So your season's probably shot. But on the bright side, you're looking at your team and you're like, we really do have, one of the best young cores in football right now. Maybe Zach Wilson, is atrocious as he still looked, can somehow gather his way with the weapons he has around him to rally to perhaps to being a regular game manager. I'm having a hard time just not thinking about the Bills. I'm trying to stay objective here. I'm really trying to stay objective. Garrett Wilson. Let's talk about Garrett Wilson for a second to just to keep my mind off of the bad things I want to say about the Buffalo Bills at the moment. Garrett Wilson deserves all of the credit in the world for what he did on that touchdown catch. It was not a good ball. It was actually a putrid pass, and it's against one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and he's going one-on-one, and he doesn't back down. Let's go back and check this one out. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to check out the Garrett Wilson touchdown. Let me pull it up real quick. The kid's the real deal. If you're New York, you got a quarterback like Zach Wilson. You want a wide receiver like Garrett Wilson on the outside to help him out the way that he did in this game. It's hold on. Here we go. I found it. Here we go. This is the type of wide receiver Garrett is going to be required for Zach Wilson if they're going to have any chance of making any noise. You got to respect the game to a point, right? As a Bills fan, I'm sitting here saying to myself, as unbelievable as it is that they're in this position, the fact that this is caught, you have to tip your cap at some point. Garrett Wilson, it was such a bad ball. Let's acknowledge the fact that this ball is so bad. It's supposed to be to the back shoulder, right? It's so bad. It's going to his inside shoulder, and he is able to reach out with his right hand, and whether it was intentional or not, bat it to the inside again, back to himself to be able to juggle it while getting tugged on and falling to the ground by one of the best corners in football. This is superstar stuff. I was going to this year after 2022 with the mindset of Garrett Wilson is about the only young receiver in football out of all of the amazing young receivers there are right now. He's the only young receiver that I think has that true Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson type gene. He's that guy that can really he can really elevate his game to that level. I think he's really the only one that will touch the play style that those two guys and the level of intensity and talent and skill that those two guys have and harness. I think Garrett Wilson is going to be about as close as it gets to those two guys, and it's for reasons like this. It's just unfortunate that he's going to be trapped with Zach Wilson for probably what is the remainder of the season now that Aaron Rodgers is down with what appears to be an Achilles injury. But this is superstar stuff, and you sometimes just have to tip your cap. There's not much else Trey White can do here. It's just an unbelievable play by an unbelievable second-year player. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was Breece Hall, right? I did not want to stop sharing, but Breece Hall was the burst of lightning that this team needed. It almost makes you think like, obviously Breece didn't touch the ball too much, but you're sitting there thinking, why even bother bringing in Dalvin Cook? You have a guy like Breece Hall that is able to break tackles at will. A guy like Breece Hall that is able to hit a hole and run through it and go for 20 extra yards more than he probably should have. He is probably, of course, the defensive side of the ball was a huge reason why the Jets won this. If it's not for Breece Hall, they're not moving the ball. The Jets offense doesn't have a chance. The Jets offense isn't getting down the field. And for a guy that was coming off an ACL tear, a guy that nobody really thought would be too effective in this one, and who knows, maybe not even effective throughout the rest of the year, we have to give Breece Hall his flowers as well. We have to give the Jets young players their flowers. These are guys that are going to be the future of this league, and it's quite special to watch. As much as it might suck to be on the wrong end of this, as an objective football fan, it's just fun to watch guys that are just so explosive. Breece Hall is one of those guys. Garrett Wilson is one of those guys. Shout out to Benford there for the chase down tackle, by the way. But these are the type of, they're standing next to each other, the superstar playmakers that make this league what it is. It sucks being a Bills fan to watch, but from a football fan perspective, and I always try to remain level-headed, this is the kind of stuff you want to see. This is the kind of stuff you enjoy watching. So positively, these two guys were shining bright under the spotlight. As were guys like Quincy Williams on the second level for New York had a tremendous game. Of course, Jordan Whitehead too. I think Jordan Whitehead had a great game. Obviously, of course, he had 3 picks, but you could even argue they were all just thrown right to him. So I think a guy like Quincy Williams made just as much of an impact. But yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about the Bills. There's just too much to say. Breece Hall is on my bench in fantasy. Pray for Josh Allen. Pray for Josh Allen is right. Great game. Division games are the best. Yeah, it just sucks that the Bills are always on the wrong end of them. Yes, sir. I know you are, Silver. I always will keep that in the back of my mind, man. But Buffalo, man. Where do I start? Farkas says, did the Jets win this game or did the Bills lose it? The Bills lost it. But that doesn't make it any better. The Bills lost this game. The Jets won it, but the Bills more so lost it. And that's not even a coping mechanism. That's just the truth. Like I said earlier, Josh Allen quite literally could have had, 5 drives in the second half that resulted in no points. And as long as they didn't result in turnovers, we still would have won the game. It was just because we continued to give them opportunities on short fields and continued to shorten our drives up where we could have been chewing time. But before we talk about Josh Allen, I want to talk about the issues surrounding Josh because there are still plenty of those. Because it looked like this offense looked exactly what it looked like at the end of last year, which is extremely concerning. Personally, I had no reason to believe that this rushing offense would improve. James Cook had a decent day. It wasn't great. He had bursts of speed. He broke some tackles. He got to the edge at times. But when we need to run the ball, this is what people have to understand. James Cook could have ran for 60 to 70 yards tonight. What matters the most is being able to run when you need to run. And the Buffalo Bills can't do that. We can't do that. We needed to be able to run the ball in overtime. we needed to be able to run the ball in the second half, and we couldn't. And that's really a massive issue that we have dealt with for weeks, NFL season-wise. Especially on that last overtime drive. We're backed up because of a stupid false start on Spencer Brown. It's 1st and 15. We missed to Dawson Knox at the sticks. They're in 2nd and 15. And I don't hate the run call necessarily. The only reason I hate it is because we know it's not going to work. We need to be able to come out and have confidence in running the ball on 1st and 10 in any given situation, and we just don't have that. And that's what I think is it's been one of our biggest issues. It still is one of our biggest issues. A good reference point that I can make. So tonight, James Cook, let me pull up my screen again. This is what I mean by it's important to be able to run the ball when you need to. So James Cook tonight rushed for, look at that tab real quick. Let's see. 12 for 46, 3.8. I mean, it's still not even great. And we can go over to, where's the Lions game? There it is. Box score. Hold on, I'm pulling up the Lions game. So, listen up. James Cook rushed for 12 carries, 46 yards, 3.8 yards per attempt. Wasn't great. But, of course, he had his moments. He looked decent at times. But then you have, on the other hand, a guy like David Montgomery, who on Thursday night rushed 21 times for 74 yards with 3.5 yards per carry. And his longest run was just 8 yards, whereas James Cook's longest run was 13. The reason why Montgomery's night was so much better is because it helped the team when it needed to help the team the most. The Lions knew late in the fourth quarter to beat the Chiefs, they had to play smash mouth football and beat them where they didn't have Chris Jones up front and just bully them with their stronger offensive line. And even though David Montgomery might have only been averaging 2.5, 3.5 yards per carry, they were still grinding away at the clock. They were still gaining yards when that mattered. They were still able to get in those 3rd and short situations and pound it with David Montgomery because they can. It doesn't matter if Montgomery only rushed for 3.5 yards per carry. What matters is the fact that they were able to roll him out on the field and say, I'm going to run it with David Montgomery, and he's going to get the 3 yards I need right now, and that's all, and that's it. To me, that's what makes an effective running game. Not a running game that averages 4.5, 5 yards per carry, or a running back that averages 4.5 to 5 yards per carry. What is important to me in terms of a running game is the running game that will get you the yards that you need when you need it. That's what I look for in a running game. The Buffalo Bills don't have that. The Buffalo Bills don't have a running game they can turn to get yards when they need them to show up in a big situation. We don't have that. We had 97 yards rushing. Granted, 36 of them came from Josh Allen. That's really the biggest difference between us and a lot of different teams. We cannot run the ball when we have to, even if our numbers sometimes look pretty. Like everybody likes to talk about how last year James Cook averaged 6 point something yards per carry as a rookie. Like, yeah, those numbers are great for James Cook, but the bottom line is we couldn't run the ball when it mattered. So James Cook's 6 yards per carry doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit that James Cook averaged 6 yards per carry as a rookie. We couldn't run the ball when we had to, and that's the bottom line. Teams like the Lions, David Montgomery might have had 21 carries and rushed for under 100 yards, but guess what? They picked up first downs when they had to. They were able to keep drives alive because of David Montgomery. This is the kind of thing that the Buffalo Bills need to find. We don't need a run game to win, or we don't need a dominant run game to win games. Let me rephrase that. We don't need a run game that is so dominant that it will single-handedly win us games. We need a run game that will assist us in winning games when we need it to the most. So there's that. Let's address some of the comments here. The most Bills way to start the season. Yeah, pretty much. I think losing Dable has made Josh do a complete 180. I'm in agreement on this. I do not want to not blame Josh Allen. I have done enough of avoiding blaming Josh Allen. I do my best to defend him as much as possible. There's no defending this one. But I do think that ever since Dable left, there's been something different in Josh. And I thought maybe the offseason would change that. After week 1, obviously, that's not the case. There's a long season ahead. Things can still change. But ever since the Ken Dorsey transition, there's been a different Josh Allen playing under center for the Buffalo Bills. Also, insane seeing Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs get embarrassed week 1. And for what it's worth, the Chiefs have an excuse. The Bengals just looked putrid, and so did the Bills. So at least there's that. Tom, hope you're doing well, man. It's just so upsetting how efficient Josh would have been if those interceptions were just incompletions. He was playing really well for 2.5 quarters. He was. I think really what happened. Okay, here we go. Farkas says, I would like to have seen 8, 10 more yard passes. Him seems like it was either dump offs or long balls. So this is what I'll say to that. And I want to find the interception. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So what I noticed in this game as well, or when things really collapsed was when Josh Allen got impatient. It was clear that when we hit Stephon Diggs on that quick hitter over the middle early in the first quarter, that eventually led to, I believe, a field goal. But you can tell Josh Allen was getting impatient. Josh Allen wanted to be able to hit something else further down the field, but we struggled. Josh Allen interception. I'm sure I can find it just typing that in, right? Let's see. Josh Allen interception. Where is it? I think, yeah, I mean, bottom line, Josh Allen got impatient. It's hard to tell without the all-22 right now. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. It's hard to tell without the all-22 at the moment, but what seemed to happen, in my opinion, is that due to our lacking ability to run the ball consistently and our lacking ability to really get any separation down the field, we were left resorting to the short shit. And that is what the Jets wanted because they knew Josh Allen, under the pressure he was experiencing with that pass rush, would get impatient. He would make mistakes, and that's exactly what happened. Here's the interception I wanted to touch on. So we're in a 3rd and 2 situation. This is after, mind you, this is a 3rd and 2. This was the drive where let me find the play-by-play. This is what I think Josh was going on in Josh's mind. Let me find the drive. This was his 3rd interception, I believe. Interception. Okay. So this drive went as follows. Let's share this tab. Josh Allen pass short left to James Cook for 6 yards. James Cook up the middle for 4 yards. Josh Allen sacked for -2 yards. This is Josh Allen. This was a quick dump off to Damian Harris. And then this was the play where Josh ran forward and then shoveled it to Latavius Murray for 9 yards. And then they ran it again and they didn't get very far. And this is where Josh, I think, just got very impatient. I would love to see the average depth of target on every ball that wasn't a pick for Josh Allen tonight, because I think he quite literally, every target for him and outside of the final drive probably was 5 yards per attempt. It really felt like everything was short, and that is what the Jets wanted. They wanted to force Josh to consistently take the short shit, and he just got impatient. So here he's not even under any pressure, to be honest with you. I just think, oh, wait, hold on. I'm not sharing the right tab. What I think happened here is after those consistently short plays on this drive specifically and just throughout the entire second half, not being able to hit anything down the field, Josh is just in a situation where he's like, it's 3rd and short. Hopefully they're playing the sticks. I'm going to trust my read, and I'm just going to throw it. And that's what he does. But, of course, they're still all over it. And Jordan Whitehead comes down on Gabe Davis, and it's picked off. Obviously we would like to see Josh continue to be patient, and Stephon Diggs is your choice here. That's an easy first down, but this is the type of football that Josh Allen plays. He's impatient. He is mistake-filled, and the Jets took advantage of that. You take away the run game, you take away the intermediate to deep shots, and he's left to take the short shit. He got impatient. He got stressed under the pressure, and he started making mistakes. That's really what the game plan was for the Jets there. And it worked out to perfection. Do we get another angle of this, I hope? Or just Sean McDermott? Okay, just Sean McDermott. Offensive line wasn't great either. I thought maybe, I also had no reason to believe our run game would improve that much. I thought maybe it would a little bit, but it didn't. I also do wish, I wish we just got more. I just wish we got more from our offensive line, man. What were the penalty differences? Not that the Jets' offensive line is good either, but at least they can run block. Team stats. Penalties. We were 5 for 40 on penalties, and that would be Diggs' offensive pass interference on the final drive, which ultimately didn't matter. We had the false start. What other penalties did we have? I could have sworn there was another offensive line penalty. I might be wrong. There's just so many numbers I want that I don't have at my disposal right now. Robert, how you doing, man? Yeah, brutal game to say the least. Absolutely brutal game. Absolutely brutal game. That is really all it comes down to. Yeah, I mean, geez. And then, of course, we have the opportunity to drive down the field in a tie game and kick a field goal to perhaps win it. And Josh panics. This was the ultimate panic situation. I mean, you could sit here and say, hey, we used to be able to sit back and say, he's a kid still. He's still learning. These are pressure situations he's still getting used to, but we're in year 6. There's a point where we cannot continue to say these things. We cannot continue to make excuses and try to say that, Josh Allen's just getting used to these. Like, Josh Allen has been in so many bigger spots. At the end of the day, it's the relatively meaningless week 1 game. And understandably, we're not supposed to be losing this game. He's got a lot of pressure to try and drive down the field here. But Josh Allen has been in so many bigger moments. And he's handled them superbly. And there was a time where I couldn't trust anybody more. But now we're at a point where, Josh Allen gets in these pressure situations, and, I almost want the defense on the field to an extent. Let me share this real quick. Like, what's going on here? This is just a guy that is terrified, man. He's just terrified. Oh, is this going to show the fumble? No, it's not. Okay, here it is. Very first play. This whole game could have been silenced. We wouldn't have had to. We could have went on with our week, sat back and said, you know what? That was an awful game, but we got the win and we can move on to week number 2. This was the drive where we had that opportunity. You have 5 minutes, all 3 timeouts, the 2-minute warning. The Jets aren't moving the ball unless you turn it over, and you can just go down the field, salt the time away, and kick a field goal. But Josh drops the snap and then picks it up like a scrambling wild man and doesn't secure it, and then loses it again. It's like, what's a good comparison? What's a good comparison for the way Josh Allen was in this situation? He was like a runaway freight. He was literally like a runaway train. He was a runaway train here. The second he picked up that ball, he was thinking about nothing else. He could have just fallen on it. He could have just, he could have secured it better. He could have done anything, but he just picked up the ball and did the only thing he knew how to do in that situation. That was run straight. Didn't think about anything else. And it's not loading now, but I mean, I just have no words for, I really don't have any words for what we just witnessed. Man, I just can't defend this minute. I can't defend this anymore. All off season, the thing was, Josh had, yes, it was all talk. So this is a good point as well. Not just with the turnovers, but all we heard all off season is how we're going to focus on, Josh is going to play smarter. Josh is going to be safe. We're not going to put him in harm's way, yada, yada, yada. And it's, maybe it was all talk. Maybe they just said that to throw opposing teams off, because this was quite literally the opposite. What we saw was quite literally the opposite from Josh Allen. He ran for what? Josh Allen had 6 for 36 rushing. He was about as reckless as you can possibly get, going for 36 yards. This dude was purposefully jumping over guys that are 6'2" plus in the middle of the field on a random second down. This guy was running to the sideline, juking back inside, and then getting popped. This guy is picking up fumbles blindly, running straight into linebackers and defensive linemen and losing the football and getting popped. And not to mention, he's already getting hit enough in the pocket due to all the pressure he's experiencing. I mean, how many times did a defensive lineman fall on Josh Allen's back? How many times did Josh Allen get brought to the ground and he's got bodies of other guys falling on him, LeBron? I mean, how many times was Josh Allen hit tonight? I would really like to know that. He was hit a disgusting amount. What does Warren say here? Damn it. Hold on. I want to look up what Warren said. The Josh is now 0-5 in OT games. Did not know that. That's a stat. Oh, man. Terrible, Boston. Terrible, terrible. I bet they said it to keep Diggs happy. I don't know. No, here's that stat. In the first quarter, Josh Allen was 8 for 9 for 54 yards. Bills were leading. Aaron Rodgers was injured the rest of the game. Second quarter through OT. Here we go. This is the number I was looking for. Josh Allen was 21 of 32, 5.7 yards per attempt. 5.7 yards per attempt. This is the number that lost the Buffalo Bills the football game. This is the number. Whether it's because nobody was getting open downfield or whether it was because Josh just could not continue to take what he was given, this is the number that ultimately lost us the game. I really need to see the all-22 because I just don't quite understand how, I mean, we need, I'm about to go on my Gabe Davis bullshit. At what point does Gabe Davis become more of a factor in these situations? Because we have found ourselves in this spot many times before. We saw what happened on the last drive of OT, or on the first drive of OT. Diggs was being keyed in on, and of course, he was the big reason why we drove down the field and got in field goal range. And Tyler Bass made that insane kick. But then he's keyed in on, and the Jets defense is playing tighter in overtime. And suddenly, where does Josh Allen have to go? Nowhere. Where is Gabe Davis? Dawson Knox. We could have used a big catch from Dawson Knox on an overtime drive. Where is, we need someone else other than Stephon Diggs to make a big play. We need it. I really can't recall a big play in that game that was made by anybody not named Josh Allen or Stephon Diggs. We don't have any other big playmakers. We don't have anybody that shows up when we need them to show up the most. We don't have a run game that we can lean on when we need to. We don't have a run game that can pick up a first down in a short yardage situation when we need it. We were, doing all the fancy shit, lining up Deontay Hardy in the backfield and hitting him out on the sideline quick and, trying to get the ball out, trying to be a quick hitting team, trying to look like what we looked like week 1 of the 2022 season, and we failed at it because the Jets took advantage of Josh Allen. Josh Allen looking like a real fool. I think Josh Allen at least keeps his mouth shut. Forrest does not. Oh, man. Yeah, but that 5.7 yards per attempt, that was the number that I was looking for. Josh Allen was pressured on 26% of drop. Okay, here's a stat. Here's a number that we can be interested in for a second. Josh Allen was pressured on 26% of dropbacks, the 10th lowest of any quarterback this week. Despite that, he took 9 hits, third most, and 5 sacks, fifth most, while being sacked on 11% of dropbacks, fifth most. Yeah, I mean, this pretty much sums it up. That 26% was largely from the right side. On many other plays, Josh perceived pressure and got himself into trouble. Poor decisions on a loss firmly on Allen, but holy smokes, Brown is a dead man. Okay, that's facts. Spencer Brown is brutal. Spencer Brown is not the future right tackle that we need. But the bottom line is Josh Allen, more often than not, was crumbled. Josh Allen crumbled. I really want to see the all-22 because there were just so many times where he had the ball in his hands longer than he probably should have, and we just don't know why. Hold on, let me see if we can find. See if NFL Plus has the game replay posted yet. Can watch some of the plays back. NFL. And it's just so fitting that we lose on the kick return, on the punt return too. It's like we didn't even have Like, our defense didn't even get a chance to make a stop. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that, even if we tackled the kick returner on Sam Martin's poor punt, that we were able to keep them out of field goal range. But, of course, our defense, which was easily the best unit that we had going for us today, wasn't able to get out there to hopefully, turn the tides for us like they had been throughout the Bills defense was we were in the game the whole time. I mean, if the Jets were competent offensively, we lose, probably by a decent margin. And that makes me wonder what the score would have been had Aaron Rodgers stayed healthy. That really makes me wonder what the score would have been had Aaron Rodgers stayed healthy. Man, I mean, I don't think the Jets offense would have clicked per se, but it definitely would not have been pretty. I also have to wonder. Yeah, it is just game one, and that's something we all have to keep in mind, but definitely is not an encouraging sign, Rashid. And it's nice to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Bills trying to use Hardy like Tyreek Hill. The Bills are trying to, Hardy was like, you could tell that throughout the offseason, they were very excited to deploy Deontay Hardy the way that they deployed him early on. But then once, things started to kind of not work anymore, they kind of just didn't use Deontay Hardy at all. And he kind of just became a non-existent factor of the offense. And then suddenly there was nothing flashy. There was nothing fun. There was nothing really encouraging going on with the offense. That first drive, quick hitters to Deontay Hardy short, Stephon Diggs over the middle, moved down the field. And we were actually running the ball with some sort of efficiency in those moments as well. This thing is loading so damn slow. Come on. Somebody said Josh Allen's pulling a Carson Wentz on us, and that almost made me throw up. Okay, here's the play. Let's see if we can see. This is the first drive. Share this tab instead. This is the first drive. This was the ball that went to Diggs underneath that fell incomplete. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see anything, to be honest with you, but it's worth trying to find out. So here we have a stack set to the right side of the line as Diggs comes in motion underneath. We have Knox to the left side. Let's see if we can find anything else that was open. So he's going to go dig. They really all just play on the sticks. They're just sitting here. The Jets defensive backs are just sitting here. They didn't even take a step back. They are anticipating this ball the entire way through. It's almost as if they had our playbook here, and they had our play call. This was not even. There was no intimidation at all. DJ Reed, Quincy Williams take a step back to the first down marker, and then they just plant their feet. 2 routes just extending right at the line. No threat to really back anyone off. I mean, we have 2 guys on the side of the field, so who knows? Who knows how much of this is play design, play calling? To me here, I'm not a football guru. I'm not an X's and O's guru, but to me here, you can't run 2 guys to the middle of the field at the sticks and expect it to work with nobody threatening deep. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe there's somebody to the outside. Maybe somebody was to the far left hash or the far left sideline. But it's it's almost like they had our playbook, man. There was nobody out there, I don't think. You cannot send 2 guys over the middle of the field like that and at the sticks and expect it to get open. Josh just can't blindly throw that expecting it to get open when there's just nothing pushing anybody back. And here's where this breaks. All right. This is not going to be sustainable because it just keeps freezing up. That game is going to be a real office downer tomorrow, let me tell you. Yeah. I mean, that is an understatement. Nobody is going to be a happy camper tomorrow. Nobody. Yeah, I'm worried as well. I'm definitely worried. I'm not going to overreact. It's week 1. A lot of teams had a really shitty week 1. And fortunately for us, Josh Allen's still healthy, whereas the Jets had the sails sucked out, the wind sucked out of their sails after Aaron Rodgers went down. What was this flag here? All right, let's go through this together. Share screen. Let's go through this together and see if we notice anything just out of hand. So here we have James Cook in the backfield. I almost said Reggie Gilliam. I think that is back there. We have Trent Sherfield, I believe, is 16 in the slot. Diggs on the outside. We have play action. It gets blown dead. False start. So who is this false start on? Because that was not the first false start. I don't know who the false start was on. False start, Dawson Knox. Okay, so we had 2 false starts in this game at 2 minimum. And this is when Rodgers was getting taken off. Josh takes the snap. This speed draw, I'm not sure what the exact phrase for it is, but the speed draw type of thing that we continue to run, it worked a couple of times, but we need to be able to line up and pound the rock, man. The speed draw shit out of shotgun, it just doesn't. It's not always going to work. We need to get to a point where we can just go under center and turn around and hand the ball to somebody and gain 5 to 6 yards, because these draws that we continuously do up the middle, trying to get James Cook into space by spreading things out. Like, everybody knows that's what we're trying to do with our ground game at this point. It just doesn't work. And this was the type of shit that Josh Allen got frustrated with. This was the type of play calling. This was the type of targeting that he just did not want to do anymore. I mean, this is just not Josh Allen's game. And when it's not working, that's when Josh Allen gets extra frustrated. So here in my mind, my mouse isn't working. So if I'm putting myself in the mind of Josh Allen, and I know that I am somebody that likes to use my arm and to fit into tight windows and to try and hit the big play, and the play call is continuously whatever the hell you want to call this from Ken Dorsey, I'm going to get frustrated. I'm going to try and make a play. And this is like, what the fuck is that? This is the line of scrimmage. This is the fucking line of scrimmage. This is the 23-yard line. We are running a play, a passing play that is argued that probably went down as a run because it's backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage. We're throwing a pass 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage with one blocker. One blocker expecting this to work. And this isn't like, I don't think this is on Josh. This is fully designed. I mean, there is just nothing doing there. Like, that to me is a poor play call. A poor play call. These are the kinds of things that Josh is just like, I'm sick of this. This is not my brand of football. I do not want to keep, like, this is not how I play the game. And if it's not going to work, I'm going to try and make something else work. So, I'm really trying to understand Josh here. I'm really trying to find an angle to defend him. There really is no way to, but I mean, I can understand where it gets frustrating. Like, that was the type of shit he was having to throw all night long. Here's a 3rd and 9. Josh steps up, not too sure what was open. He ends up running, picking up the first down. Fine. Drive survives. Here we have, oh my God, it takes forever to load. Like I said, if I'm Josh Allen, I'm just frustrated. I think I'm just frustrated at this point. And I mean, I don't blame him. It's like there needed to be something that won intermediate to deep down the field, and I really want to watch if there was anything. There probably is. Josh just didn't throw it, but James Cook, Stephon Diggs. Okay, is that Hardy coming in motion? Fake the handoff, and then to Hardy quick. Like, I'm sure these were the reads. These were the snap. This was the game plan. They wanted the short shit. This is how they wanted to run the offense all game, and it was working early on. But then once the Jeffs jumped on it, we had nothing. And then I think Josh just got impatient. Yeah, I'm just kind of wordless at this point. That speed draw again worked early on. Didn't work for very long. Look, not really much to say. It was ugly. There's a lot of season remaining. I'm concerned for Josh. A lot of turnovers. He was seeing ghosts, as Sam Darnold would say. But there are just a lot of areas that this team needed to improve. And tonight they didn't show the improvement that I was kind of hoping, or at least that I thought we needed. The Buffalo Bills needed to improve on the ground, and they didn't. The Buffalo Bills needed to figure out how to move the ball through the air at will with someone else not named Stephon Diggs. They didn't. Kincaid was out there. Kincaid was making a couple plays, but he wasn't this massive target, this difference maker. Granted, it's week 1. I didn't expect him to do too much, but we need somebody. We need some. I am once again getting to that point where we're gonna need someone else to make a play. Like we're gonna need to somehow find someone else to make a play. Like at this point, Farkas, like I would be open-minded to whatever we could possibly think of to give us an opportunity, because I'm getting sick of watching all of these other teams make the moves that they feel are necessary to help their quarterback, and we're not. We draft Dalton Kincaid, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with drafting Dalton Kincaid, but I'm just not convinced he's going to be this like Travis Kelce difference maker, especially this season, that people are thinking he could be. My projection for Dalton Kincaid, I think he ends up being a lot more like a Dalton Schultz for us than a Travis Kelce, maybe an unpopular opinion. And Dalton Schultz is fine, but he's not like breaking the game. We need another game breaker. Gabe Davis isn't it. I don't think I know Gabe Davis hurt his ankle last year. That hampered his play, but Gabe Davis just doesn't win in short yardage situation, or Gabe Davis just doesn't win in the short to intermediate part of the field very often. And outside of Stephon Diggs, no one really does. So we're going to need some sort of difference maker. And if it's Mike Evans, then I'm honestly all for it. And if the season continues to be up and down, I wouldn't put it past Brandon Beane at this point to try and make a move, because I think last year, at the tail end of last year, that was the first time I really felt like there was a sense of urgency and desperation. And now that you're 2 years removed from 13 seconds, and then last year, the absolute dramatic catastrophe that was the Bengals game, and now we're going into week 1 of what's supposed to be hopefully the revenge tour. And, you have that performance. So at some point you got to make the purchases that you really try not to. And who knows, maybe Mike Evans is on that radar, because right now we need something. And the best way to combat pressure, the best way to, we saw the Cincinnati Bengals do it. Joe Burrow does not get much time in the pocket. Joe Burrow's run game is not great, but they're able to get by because they have receivers that can consistently win one-on-one. And, maybe that's the formula the Bills need to follow, or else we're going to continue to struggle. So Mike Evans to Buffalo, shit, I'm all for it. As of 12:16 a.m. on September 12th, I'm all for it. Unbelievable pepperoni nipples. Go Sabres, yeah. It's almost time. I'm excited for hockey to return. Oh, man, I'm shocked we lost this game. But yeah, two final thoughts are this. Josh Allen got impatient and could not play the short game anymore. And, of course, started to throw the interceptions under the pressure that he often created himself. And the other thing being, I think we need to take the Cincinnati Bengals approach. I think that is my mindset as of right now. We need an opposite dominant target. We need to combine pass catching talent with Stephon Diggs to create a monster at the pass catching position to threaten. Just like the Cincinnati Bengals do, we need to threaten on the outside the same way. We need to utilize Josh Allen's arm to threaten in that fashion, because his playmaking ability simply isn't enough anymore. We have gotten by since the second half of last year. The way the Bills offense has gotten by is just relying on Josh Allen's playmaking ability, and that's not working anymore. So I think we need to take the Cincinnati Bengals approach and load up on the weapons and hope to God Josh Allen figures it out. What more can you do? Because if this year is a complete and utter disaster, it can't. Okay, let's put it this way. This year cannot be a complete and utter disaster for the Buffalo Bills. If you go from 13 seconds to whatever was last year against Cincinnati to this season, I'm not even going to come close to thinking that we don't make the playoffs or even win the division for that matter. But God forbid we're in a situation where those are possibilities. It can't be a possibility, or else, like, unfortunately, the reality will be, McDermott. What's going on, McDermott? I don't think he should be fired. I don't think McDermott will be fired anytime soon, but the pressure is already on McDermott. The pressure is only going to increase. As Josh had a post-game presser, I'm not too sure. I haven't even been looking. Take the Bengals approach. I think we take hope that the ship sails itself. Mike Evans, sure. Who else is out there? D-Hop. I'm kind of glad. I think I would rather have a Mike Evans than a D-Hop as of right now. Maybe that's not true. I guess they probably would offer similar. They would offer similarities. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. I honestly kind of checked out of the game. Not checked out of the game in terms of how I was going to live stream and what I was going to talk about. I kind of was just under the impression that, the Bills, they were able to come away with an easy win after Aaron Rodgers got hurt. And, they took advantage of a team that had no life. And, we were able to just handle the game and, get an easy win. I was just kind of under that impression when I was going to, preparing to live stream. And then once the game started to go south and all of a sudden we're in a situation where we're kicking a field goal to go to overtime, I kind of was rattled, and then I didn't know what the hell. I didn't have my thoughts collected. So, yeah. Any final thoughts? Any final opinions? My final thought, go the Cincinnati Bengals route. We have the defense to do it. Get the talent on the outside. Hopefully the extra pass catching juice will just get the job done. But I think that's going to wrap it up for me, guys. I appreciate it, Farkas. I appreciate you sticking around and leaving your thoughts and everything. I really do. And for all you guys that were, dropping in the chat, leaving your thoughts, leaving your comments, it means a lot, to have the conversation so we can go through this pretty cruel time together. But it's a long season. A lot can change. We saw Aaron Rodgers a couple of years ago lose to the Saints like 36-3, and then Aaron Rodgers would proceed to win the MVP award. So point in saying that is that week one is fluky. Week one is always fluky, and there's still a lot of season remaining. If the year continues to go south, then we can really hit DEFCON 5. Otherwise, you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. Hopefully your day at work tomorrow isn't too brutal, and go Bills.